Hello, my paranormal peeps. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the founder and lead investigator with Deep Woods Paranormal. Today, I'm going to be talking about different types of haunted objects. So, just to let everybody know a little bit about my history and my background, I run Deep Woods Paranormal. I've been running paranormal teams for close to 30 years now. I started just with ghost hunting, and then I had my first Bigfoot encounter. Now I'm a Bigfoot researcher, but we also research everything paranormal. My wife Amanda and I: Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, hauntings, demonic activity, river monsters, lake monsters, UFOs, aliens, anything like that, anything paranormal. Why does she keep disappearing? So if you're watching our video podcast, I have a couple examples of possible, and take this with a grain of salt, possible haunted objects. Number one, little girl here, little doll. She seems to have some kind of energy. She seems to have some kind of energy to her. I don't know if she's truly haunted, but she definitely has an energy to her. I was doing another podcast earlier, and I physically saw her eyebrows go up and down on the screen. I wasn't actually looking directly at her, but I hope it got recorded. So we'll go back and watch back for that, and that may be added to our YouTube channel here as paranormal evidence. But if you watch her, if you're watching our video podcast, watch her face. Her face, I swear it changes. I swear her face, her expressions change. Her smile gets a little bit bigger. Her cheeks get a little redder and stuff like that. And her face kind of changes. So it doesn't help that I'm moving. Also, I've got a pair of theater glasses. These would have been used to, if I can get them to show up here, these would have been used to watch plays. They probably would have been used up on the mezzanine or whatever, so that they could essentially, they could see the play. Most of the time, those were used by people that were better off, let's just put it that way, that were able to afford those seats. So suppose we got those in Huntsville. We were antiquing. I was walking through, and because I've done this for so long, I just get a feeling of there might be some kind of energy to that object. And now, granted, every object has some kind of energy. Living or dead, it has some kind of energy. Now, the type of energy I'm speaking of is somebody left some kind of imprint on it. They really love the glasses, or they had some kind of traumatic event or something. Maybe they just put all their love into, maybe they love to go to the theater a lot. Maybe they love to watch plays. And or maybe they enjoyed this little girl. Maybe they enjoyed playing with her a lot. So they've left an imprint of energy on her. That being said, that doesn't make her haunted or the spectacles haunted, but they could hold some kind of energy from the previous owner. And that's what we call haunted objects. Some objects have more energy than others. Some objects are able to, the spirit is of the person or persons that owned it, sometimes attach themselves to that object, and they will continue to live life through those objects. They sometimes will be able to manipulate the object, like her face changing. I don't know, I'm not moving, so I don't know why she keeps disappearing. Do you not want to be on camera, little girl? That's really weird. I'm not moving. She was in focus, now she's not. I wonder if her face, there we go. Okay, so essentially, with this little girl, like I said, her facial expressions change. With the spectacles, it's more of a feeling. It's more of a feeling there's something attached to them. When I was walking around through this antique store, I was drawn to them. I don't know why I was drawn to them. I was just drawn to them. And essentially, I felt like they had some kind of energy to them, and I didn't know who it was or what it was. I knew it wasn't negative. That's the only reason I brought them home. And I always tell people, be careful when you bring home haunted objects because they could have any kind of energy to them. Look into the history of the item. Some items were used in religious ceremonies. Some were, they were just used in a way that wasn't positive. Let's put it that way. So you got to be really careful of those type of objects. Demons or negative energies or whatever you want to call them will sometimes attach themselves to objects, and people don't even realize until they bring it home, and next thing they know, all hell's breaking loose. That's usually when I get a call. Hey Matt, I just bought this dresser or I just bought this ring from this store, from this pawn store, or I just bought this necklace or whatever. And somebody had gone to, with the necklace or the ring, had gone to, not them, but the previous owner had gone to something that they probably shouldn't have gone to. And essentially that energy from that location they went to left an imprint, probably on them as well, but it could have influenced them, but it also left an imprint or an attachment on those objects. So I am super careful when I grab an object. I can tell when there's been some kind of, well, I'm not sure I can tell, but I get told that no, don't touch that. No, don't, stay away from that one. That one's got something negative attached to it. Sometimes I will go ahead and buy that item and carefully take it and dispose of it. Let's just say. So I cleanse them and then I dispose of them so somebody else doesn't end up with them. Very rarely does that happen, but so this little girl over here on the left, if you're watching the podcast, I'll describe her. She's just an old baby doll, probably from, I would guess she's maybe from the late 70s, early 80s. I've tried to do some research on her. I can't find much about her. If you're actually watching the podcast, you might be going, oh, I know exactly what that is, and I'd love to talk to you about that. So essentially, I picked her up, and she just had an energy to her, a feel to her. Like there was maybe a little kid attached to her, or maybe somebody that had grown up and felt like a little, left their energy as a little kid on them. So whoever had her loved her a lot. It feels like she was very well loved, very well cherished, probably put up, she's on a pedestal, but put up on a shelf somewhere and just enjoyed. And somebody left a lot of positive energy on her. And so I think this little girl is very positive. I don't think she's going to do anything bad. I don't think that she's going to cause any problems. She's been here for about 3 or 4 months now, and we haven't had any issues. So, and people are going, but why did you bring home a haunted object? Well, I've been looking at haunted dolls for a long time. There's some negative haunted dolls out there, and there's some positive haunted dolls out there, and there's some that are kind of neutral. Oops. So I picked her up. I felt like she was a good addition to our office, and she only stays in the office. I've never taken her through the rest of the house. Now, I've had a little girl appear to me next to my bed multiple occasions, and it's sad because either I can't hear her talking or she can't communicate with me. And she looks like she's just, God, look at the chills, got goosebumps all down my arms right now. Holy moly. So it feels like she's trying to communicate with me in a good way, nothing negative. Maybe she needs something, and maybe she wants something, and maybe she wants more attention. I think she's liking the attention she's getting now. But she sits in here, and there's a camera trained on her 24/7 to make sure that nothing happens in here like poltergeist activity. TV doesn't go flying off the stand, or pictures don't come flying off the walls. Nothing in here really gets messed with too much. We've had an apparition appear on the camera one night, and that's on our YouTube channel. You guys can go look at it. It's kind of starts as a mist and then looks like it's starting to turn solid and then turns back to mist, and then basically it's gone. It only lasts about 3 seconds. So she seems to have a positive energy to her. I've done K2 sessions with her. I've done spirit box sessions with her, where we have gotten a little bit of, basically a little bit of chatter that came through. Couldn't really understand most of it. We put an EM pump out. So an EM pump is just basically just creates energy, pumps a room full of energy, essentially is what it does for them to use. It creates a bunch of EMF, and EMF is just energy. We create an energy. We create EMF ourselves. Our brains basically basically are like a computer, and they put signals out through our bodies, and that energy can actually be read on different types. I think there's one type of EMF detector that can pick up humans, which is crazy. My friend bought one to an investigation, and he went around us. He was like, "Here, look," but he pulled it away from us, and we left it in a place where there was a lot of activity, and it actually did go off. It was pretty crazy that it went off, but it wouldn't go off unless somebody was next to it, which was really cool. It was just a really cool piece of gear. One of these days I'll be able to pick one of those up, but love to do that with her and to see if it picks up on anything at all. So her energy is positive. I made sure of it before I left the store. I told her on the way home, you're welcome to come home with me and stay attached to the doll, but you have to follow my rules. I have very strict rules that anything that comes home with me on a haunted object has to stay in the office. I don't let anything negative into our house. This room is very well protected. There is a lot of energy in here. And by energy, I just mean there's a lot of energy created by all the electronic devices, and then also there's energy because like our K2s, our KII meters. I've had these KII meters, some of them, for over 20 years. I have one of the original ones that you had to stick a penny in to get it to light up. I actually bought it from Chris Fleming right before their episode with Taps, his episode with Taps in that house. Basically was there. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the little doll because I think she just turned one of her eyes. Anyways, if you're watching the video podcast, like I said before, comment down below if you see her move and tell us what you see and what part of the video you see it in, so we can go back and watch it. I will probably review this as well and just see if I see anything, and if I do, maybe I'll put a little note on there. Watch the doll or something right now. Like I said, my rules for my house are essentially if I don't bring the spirits home with me typically. I always tell them, I always clear myself before I leave any location I feel is haunted or has activity. And even sometimes, when I drive by a place where somebody's passed away, I clear myself just to make sure that they don't just hop in the car with me and continue down. Even though I can't see or feel them, I don't want them in my car. So yeah, this little girl, I told her very strictly, you have to, if you have to remain attached to the doll, you can't do anything negative. You have to keep it positive. You're not allowed to leave the office area, which actually I think she's actually done a few times, which is fine. Like I was saying, I had that communication with her when I woke up one night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's standing there. I don't know if it was her attached to the doll or another spirit. We get spirits through the house occasionally, but our house is not haunted or actively haunted or anything like that. We get occasional spikes of little activity. Okay, watch back for that. Watch that doll. I don't know what just happened, but I'm pretty sure I saw her facial expression changed for a second there. So when I bring these objects into the home, I don't have very many. Okay. I don't have very many, but just this doll and the spectacles right now. And I have like an old razor that's up here that possibly has some kind of energy to it. And there's a few other items in the office only. Everything else is in the garage or somewhere else safe. So these items, like I said, my rules are you can't harm anyone, you can't scare anyone, you have to remain in the office, you have to be positive when we communicate with you. We will be respectful towards you. We want you to be respectful towards us. We don't want any communication when we go to bed, which I don't know. I think she had a message for me and it just had to come out. And unfortunately, there was just no communication. I should have, if it wasn't 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I would have gone and got the spirit box and see if I could have had a conversation with whoever that was and see if maybe if she was the little girl attached to this doll. But the spectacles seem to have some kind of actor maybe attached to them. And these spectacles, which I showed you a second ago, spectacles or theater glasses or whatever you want to call them, seem to have their own energy too. We've had spirit box sessions with both these items. We've had actual communication, not anything I could really, pinpoint my finger to saying, okay, this is this person, this is this person. We haven't gotten to that point yet. I think we're kind of building trust with them and kind of they're learning who we are, and we're kind of slowly but surely kind of trying to get to know these entities. So, like I said, the spectacles have only been here about 3 months. She's been here for about 4 months, and so far so good. Nothing's tried to harm us in any way. Nothing's tried to scare us or do anything like that. They're following the rules, but you have to be very, very careful when you bring on a haunted object into an area. My office or our office is very, very well protected. There's nothing negative in here at all. Now, I think some of our old paranormal gear might have, I don't want to call it attachments, but some kind of energy that has been, just because they've been through so many locations. You have to remember, Amanda and I have been through thousands of locations. I've been at homes, ships, theaters, open land, you name it, I've probably been there. Celebrities' homes, I've investigated celebrities' homes. When we lived in California, I was up in Hollywood quite a bit. I had the opportunity to meet quite a bunch of cool people that shared my enthusiasm for the paranormal and ghost hunting. And they allowed me to come in and meet them, number one, which was really cool. I'm not going to name names, but it was just really cool. And but some of them had some objects from sets. They brought them home because they thought they were cool. And next thing they know, hey, there's weird things going on in my house. So, I mean, theaters and stuff like that, they seem to hold all this in movie sets and stuff. I mean, all the energy that goes into creating a movie or creating a play or whatever, that energy sometimes gets trapped on objects. And people don't know it until they bring it home and find out later, oh, yeah, this item seems to have some kind of energy. Another thing that can seem to have a lot of energy is jewelry and other things. You got to be really careful when you pick up jewelry, especially if it looks like it's been used for some kind of negative means. A lot of time in ceremonies, negative ceremonies, they will bring objects in and put energy onto that object, or even entities onto that object. And by entities, I don't mean good entities. And then basically those items, whatever, years later or months later or days later, whatever, get taken into pawn stores, get taken into jewelry stores, and they sell them off or whatever, or some collector, who's picked up those items has died. Sometimes it's like the Goodwill or anything like that. You can pick up jewelry and stuff like that. Just be super careful when you pick up stuff like that, because you just don't know what the history of it is. If it has a funky feeling to it and it doesn't feel right, you probably shouldn't bring it home. And then when you walk out the door, get in your car, get it started, clear yourself. If there's anything with me, you can't go home with me. Halfway home, same thing. If there's anything with me, you can't go home with me. Be stern, just like I'm talking now, but do not be aggressive. Do not be angry. Don't be anything. Just be stern. Be in control. And then when you get home, same thing. If there's anything with me, you really can't come home with me. You need to go back to wherever you came from. You're not welcome in my house or in my car or anything else, whatever you want to say. Sometimes I say in my life. So yeah, haunted objects, you just have to be really careful with them. I've been doing this for so long that I can walk into an area, and I'm not psychic or medium or anything like that. I am pretty closed off because of the stuff I have to deal with. I cannot be open. I have to remain closed because I will come under attack really, really quickly. I have a lot of spirits around me that protect me, that keep these negative energies off of me. And I don't want to, number one, cause them any harm, any more harm than they're already probably having to deal with what they're dealing with. And number two, I don't want to come under attack myself. So yeah, like I said, haunted objects are cool. We're going to be doing more research with these two items here in the future. If you're watching the YouTube channel, we'll probably do another spirit box session with this little doll. And then we'll probably do another spirit box session with the spectacles, just to see if anything comes through. The last time we did this, we got a little bit of communication, but it didn't really, wasn't anything I could clearly say it said that, or clearly said this. I mean, we recorded it, and you can watch that video, but there wasn't anything that was severely clear. Now, in this house, we don't get any spirit box hits. And you're going, okay, what? So in the rest of the house, if I go take the spirit box, I sit down at the kitchen table and I turn it on, it's just all gibberish. It's all just gibberish and whatever else. Nothing clear. Nothing comes through that I would consider to be a spirit, or at least a strong enough spirit to communicate. We do get sporadic activity in the house, like I said, but it's nothing. Nothing ever really stays here except for the Indian woman and possibly entities attached to these two items. When I come into the office, that changes, especially with these two things. They seem to be able to communicate, and we're teaching them. I mean, spirits have to learn to communicate. They have to learn to be able to manipulate these devices. They have to create some kind of energy to manipulate, let's say, like a K2 meter. They have to be able to, I'm going to just light this up. If you're watching our video podcast, you'll see the lights go on. So to get, if I can get this to show up, so you can see there's only one light on. And so what we asked them to do with this little device, and we'll talk more about the K2 later on another podcast or whatever. I think we're going to do another gear review here shortly. So anyways, basically we asked them to light this up for yes, leave it like it is for no. And then we'll put this in front of these objects. And if you're wondering what a K2 meter is, a K2 meter, actually, believe it or not, was originally used to find dog wires under the ground. If you had one of those shock collars you had on them, you'd bury this wire out in your backyard or wherever, so the dog wouldn't go across it. And they didn't work very well. The dog would get a zap as soon as it went over it, but once it was past that, there was nothing. So if you didn't train your dog to stay on this side of the thing, this side of where that wire was, nothing would happen. I mean, they'd go over it and get a quick yelp, and then they just keep going. So anyways, the whole idea behind those is basically that, those dog wires would disappear after time, grass would grow back over it, whatever. They needed to know where they were, so they use that, and as they got closer to it, it would light up because there's electrical current out there. They're very sensitive. They're a very sensitive EMF detector, and basically EMF is electronic magnetic field, and that's just an energy that's given off by pretty much everything. Almost everything gives off some kind of energy. You could take it right up to your microwave or your fridge or anything, your phone, and it would light up. Now, we give off a different type of energy. We give off a different type of EMF. And there is a meter out there that picks up our energy as well. So, and there's energy all through the air. I mean, if you follow Nicholas Tesla, excuse me, I can't talk today. He created the Tesla coil, which pulled energy right up out of the air. So I think that's what happens. I think these spirits have to manipulate that energy. They have to figure out how to use that to create some kind of a voice through that spirit box, either by manipulating the spirit box or by manipulating the actual speaker, or both. Or maybe they are actually talking through it. Who knows? At this point in time, it needs further research. So anyways, guys, if you're looking for an antique something or other, or you walk into a store and you think that, oh, this would be a cool, item for a cool item to add to my collection, grab it, but be careful. Think about it before you grab it. Put your hand over it. Think about what the energy feels like. Does it feel negative? If it feels negative, or it feels like it wants to hurt you or whatever, or you just get this sensation in your head or a voice in your head that says, hey, no, don't buy that, you should probably listen. Even if it's something that you just have to have, there's always another one of those items usually out there. Wait, don't buy that item. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten calls from people that have bought a new piece of furniture, and maybe not new, but went to a Goodwill or went to wherever and picked up, or garage sale or whatever, picked up an item, and all of a sudden all this weird stuff starts happening around the house. They start seeing shadows darting around. They start hearing voices. They start seeing apparitions and stuff like that. And that's more of an extreme case. But things start to happen. Things start to move around, or maybe when they're near that object, they get sick, or they feel weird, or the person, when they're in there, they argue more, stuff like that. Those objects can sometimes hold a negative energy to them, and we're not going to dive down into demonic activity, but sometimes objects are used in cults and other things, and they leave negative imprint or negative entity on those objects. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want to be on our podcast, if you're part of another paranormal team, or you've had a paranormal experience, or you just want to come on and talk about a subject that's paranormal in nature, we'd love to have you on. All of our information is all over our website. It's on our social media platforms. It's on our YouTube channel. You can just leave a comment, and we'll comment. I'll probably just give you my cell number, and you can call me, and we can chat further. We're always looking for people to come on and talk about their paranormal experiences, be it another paranormal team or just a person that experienced something. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk to you. And just remember, this show is very laid back. There's no judgments on this show. The people that listen just like to hear the stories. And we appreciate our listeners. Thank you so much for listening to our stories and tuning in every week to listen to the Paranormal Podcast. We do now have 3 paranormal podcasts. We have this podcast where basically we just talk about anything paranormal. We have Amanda basically telling ghost stories, true ghost stories, but she's changed the names and maybe the locations a little bit, because some of these were private homes. And then on Fridays, we have the Deep Woods Bigfoot podcast, where we talk about Bigfoot only. And right now we're kind of starting out exploring Texas, and we're going through different reports of different areas and kind of talking about what happened and all that sort of stuff, and why do I believe it's, do I believe what happened, essentially. We just discuss it. So, and then I'm always looking for Bigfoot witnesses or other Bigfoot teams to come on and talk about their experiences as well. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you guys. You guys stay safe, stay haunted, and we'll catch you on the next one.